What if I told you that some of the most advanced metalworking techniques in human history were developed thousands of years ago, long before modern technology even existed? These ancient craftsmen created objects so precise, so durable, and so intricate that even today, with all our cutting-edge tools, we still struggle to replicate them. From the legendary Damascus steel, which could slice through armor like butter, to the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient analog computer that predicted celestial events with astonishing accuracy, these discoveries challenge everything we think we know about the past. In this video, we'll explore the lost art of ancient metalworking techniques that were centuries ahead of their time. Together, we'll uncover how these forgotten methods not only shaped history, but could also hold the key to revolutionizing the way we approach technology today. Are you ready to step into a world where the past and the future collide? Let's begin. For centuries, the name Damascus steel has echoed through history like a whispered secret, carrying with it tales of blades so sharp and strong they seemed almost magical. This legendary metal, forged in the ancient workshops of India and the Middle East, was more than just a weapon. It was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, a symbol of power that kings and warriors coveted. What made it so extraordinary? Its distinctive wavy patterns, like flowing water frozen in metal, were not just beautiful, they were a sign of its incredible strength. Swords made from Damascus steel could reportedly slice through armor as if it were paper, a feat that left even the most skilled blacksmiths of the time in awe. But here's the twist: despite its fame, the true secrets of Damascus steel vanished centuries ago. The techniques used to create it, methods that combined iron with precise amounts of carbon and other elements, were lost to time. Modern metallurgists have spent decades trying to crack the code, using advanced technology to analyze ancient blades, yet they've never fully replicated the process. The mystery deepens when you consider that the raw materials themselves, like the high-quality iron ore once mined in India, may no longer exist in the same form. This isn't just a story about a lost recipe, it's a puzzle that challenges our understanding of ancient science and craftsmanship. And so, Damascus steel remains a tantalizing enigma, a reminder of how even the most advanced civilizations can lose knowledge that once seemed unshakable. But this is just the beginning of the story. As we turn the page, we'll uncover other ancient metals and techniques that defy explanation, each one a testament to the ingenuity of our ancestors and the mysteries they left behind. Hidden beneath the waves for over 2,000 years, the Antikythera mechanism remains one of the most baffling and awe-inspiring artifacts ever discovered. Found in 1901 by sponge divers off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, this bronze device, about the size of a shoebox, has been hailed as the world's first analog computer. But what makes it so extraordinary? Inside its corroded shell lies a complex system of interlocking bronze gears, meticulously designed to track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. It could predict eclipses, chart the positions of celestial bodies, and even mark the dates of ancient Olympic Games. The discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological and scientific communities. How could a device of such sophistication exist in the ancient world? The Antikythera mechanism wasn't just ahead of its time, it was centuries ahead. To put it into perspective, nothing of comparable complexity would appear again until the mechanical clocks of medieval Europe, more than 1,000 years later. This raises a profound question. How did ancient Greek engineers, working without the precision tools or mathematical models we take for granted today, create something so advanced? The answer lies in their deep understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and mechanics. The Greeks had already mapped the stars and planets with remarkable accuracy, and their knowledge of geometry was unparalleled. But the Antikythera mechanism suggests they took that knowledge a step further. translating it into a physical machine. The gears were crafted with such precision that even today, recreating them requires advanced technology. It's a testament to their ingenuity and skill, a reminder that the ancient world was far more technologically capable than we often assume. This discovery challenges our perception of history. We tend to think of technological progress as a straight line, with each generation building on the achievements of the last. But the Antikythera mechanism shows us that innovation can appear in unexpected places and times, only to be forgotten and rediscovered centuries later. It's a humbling reminder that our ancestors were capable of extraordinary feats, even with the tools and resources available to them. So, as we marvel at this ancient marvel, let's consider what other secrets the past might hold. What other groundbreaking inventions might have been lost to time, waiting to be uncovered? The Romans didn't just build structures, they built legacies. One of their most enduring contributions to the world is Roman concrete, a material so advanced that many of their creations still stand tall after more than 2,000 years. Unlike modern concrete, which can crack and crumble within decades, Roman concrete seems to defy time itself. The secret, a unique blend of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. This mixture created a chemical reaction that not only strengthened the material, but also made it resistant to weathering and even seawater corrosion. Imagine a material that gets stronger over time. This was Roman concrete. What's truly fascinating is how this ancient recipe outperforms much of what we use today. Modern concrete relies heavily on Portland cement, which is prone to deterioration, especially in harsh environments. But Roman concrete, with its volcanic ash component, formed a crystalline structure that resisted wear and tear. Think about the Pantheon in Rome. Its massive dome, still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world, has stood since the 2nd century. Rain, wind, and even earthquakes haven't managed to bring it down. It's a testament to the ingenuity of Roman engineering. Yet, here's the mystery. Why was this incredible recipe lost to history? Some believe it was a matter of practicality. The Roman Empire's vast trade networks made it easy to source volcanic ash from regions like Pozzuoli. But as the empire declined, so did access to these materials. Others suggest that the knowledge was simply forgotten over time, as craftsmen and engineers moved on to other methods. Whatever the reason, it wasn't until recent decades that scientists began to unravel the secrets of Roman concrete. Today, researchers are working tirelessly to recreate this ancient formula, hoping to develop more sustainable and durable building materials for the future. But Roman concrete wasn't just a standalone marvel. It was part of a broader ecosystem of ancient innovation. The same ingenuity that went into creating this material also fueled advancements in metalworking, which played a crucial role in shaping the architectural wonders of the time. From the iron clamps that held stone blocks together to the bronze fittings that adorned grand structures, metalworking techniques were the unsung heroes of Roman engineering. These two disciplines, concrete and metal, worked hand in hand to create the iconic landmarks we still admire today. And as we'll see next, the mastery of ancient metalworking was every bit as revolutionary as the concrete that defined their cities. The ancient Egyptians weren't just skilled builders and artists, they were also pioneers in the art of refining gold, achieving levels of purity that still astonish experts today. Picture this: thousands of years ago, without modern technology, they were able to produce gold so pure it rivaled what we can create even now. How did they do it? Their process relied on a combination of fire and natural materials like quartz and sand, which they used to separate impurities from the gold. They would heat the metal in clay crucibles, carefully controlling the temperature to ensure the gold remained intact while the impurities burned away or floated to the surface. It was a delicate, precise operation that required not just technical skill, but also an intimate understanding of the materials they were working with. What's truly remarkable is how this ancient knowledge didn't just stay within Egypt. The Egyptians' gold refining techniques spread far and wide, influencing other civilizations like the Romans and Greeks, who adopted and adapted these methods for their own use. Even today, modern refiners study ancient Egyptian techniques to uncover insights that could improve their own processes. There's something deeply humbling about realizing that a technology developed over 3,000 years ago still holds relevance in our high-tech world. But gold wasn't the only metal the ancients mastered. If the Egyptians could refine gold to such extraordinary levels, what other precious metals did they, and other cultures, perfect? This question naturally leads us to silver and bronze, two materials that played equally pivotal roles in shaping ancient civilizations. Each metal tells its own story, revealing the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the people who worked with them. And as we explore these stories, we begin to see just how interconnected the ancient world truly was, with knowledge and techniques flowing across borders and generations. Now, let's turn our attention to ancient China, where the art of bronze casting reached extraordinary heights during the Shang Dynasty, a period spanning from around 1600 to 1046 BCE. The Shang Dynasty is often regarded as a golden age of metallurgy, where artisans mastered techniques so advanced that their creations still leave modern experts in awe. One of the most remarkable achievements of this era was the production of intricately designed bronze ritual vessels and weapons, which were not only functional but also deeply symbolic. These objects weren't just tools or decorations, they were expressions of power, spirituality, and cultural identity. At the heart of this craftsmanship was a technique known as piece mold casting. Unlike simpler methods, piece mold casting involved creating a mold in multiple sections, often made of clay, which could be intricately carved with detailed patterns before being reassembled. Molten bronze was then poured into the mold, resulting in objects adorned with stunning geometric designs, animal motifs, and even inscriptions. The level of precision required for this process was staggering, especially considering the tools and resources available at the time. Each vessel or weapon was a testament to the skill and patience of the artisans, who often worked under the watchful eye of the ruling elite. But why was bronze so significant in ancient Chinese society? For the Shang people, bronze wasn't just a metal, it was a symbol of divine authority and earthly power. Ritual vessels, for example, were used in ceremonies to honor ancestors and communicate with the spiritual realm. These ceremonies were central to maintaining social order and legitimizing the rule of kings. The designs on the vessels often featured mythical creatures like dragons and tauti, which were believed to hold protective or auspicious powers. In this way, bronze objects became bridges between the human and the divine, carrying both practical and spiritual weight. Given their importance, it's no surprise that the techniques for creating these bronzes were closely guarded state secrets. The knowledge of how to craft such objects was confined to a select group of skilled artisans, often working under royal patronage. This exclusivity not only ensured the high quality of the bronzes, but also reinforced the power dynamics of the time. Those who controlled the production of bronze held immense influence, shaping both the spiritual and political landscape of ancient China. As we marvel at these ancient creations, it's worth reflecting on how metalworking in the Shang Dynasty was more than just a technical achievement, it was a deeply spiritual practice. The bronzes they crafted weren't just objects, they were conduits for connecting with the unseen forces that shaped their world. And as we move forward, we'll see how this intertwining of metal and spirituality continued to shape cultures across the globe, revealing the profound ways in which ancient artisans saw their craft as something sacred. Metalworking in ancient cultures wasn't just about creating tools or ornaments. It was a deeply spiritual practice, intertwined with the beliefs and rituals of the time. Take the Incas, for example. To them, gold wasn't merely a precious metal, it was the sweat of the sun god Inti, a divine material that connected the earthly realm to the heavens. The Spanish conquistadors would later marvel at the sheer amount of gold they found, but to the Incas, its value wasn't in its wealth, it was in its sacredness. Temples were adorned with gold, and ceremonial objects were crafted with meticulous care, not just to impress but to honor the gods. Similarly, in Mesopotamia, bronze wasn't just a utilitarian material. It was a medium through which artisans could channel divine energy. Ritualistic bronze artifacts, such as statues of gods or ceremonial weapons, were believed to hold power beyond their physical form. These objects were often created in sacred spaces, with craftsmen performing rituals to imbue them with spiritual significance. The act of metalworking itself was seen as a form of communion with the divine, a way to bring celestial power into the tangible world. This connection between craftsmanship and cosmology shaped how ancient societies approached metalworking. Techniques weren't just developed for efficiency or durability, they were refined to align with spiritual beliefs. For instance, the process of smelting metal, which transforms raw ore into something new, was often seen as a metaphor for transformation and rebirth. The fire used in forging was thought to purify the metal, making it worthy of the gods. Even the tools used by craftsmen were sometimes considered sacred, treated with reverence and care. As these spiritual practices spread, so did the techniques themselves. Trade routes became conduits not just for goods, but for ideas and traditions. Metalworkers from different cultures exchanged knowledge, blending their methods and beliefs to create new forms of artistry. The sacred gold of the Incas, the ritual bronzes of Mesopotamia, these weren't isolated phenomena. They were part of a larger, interconnected world where spirituality and craftsmanship traveled hand in hand, shaping the course of history. Trade was the lifeblood of ancient civilizations, and nowhere was this more evident than in the exchange of metalworking knowledge. Imagine the bustling markets along the Silk Road, where merchants from distant lands bartered not just goods but ideas. Techniques that had been perfected over centuries in one region would travel thousands of miles, transforming the way metal was worked in far-off lands. For instance, the Hittites, masters of iron smelting in modern-day Turkey, didn't keep their secrets to themselves. Their methods spread across the Middle East and beyond, revolutionizing how societies forged tools, weapons, and art. This wasn't just a transfer of technology, it was a meeting of minds where cultures blended their unique approaches to create something entirely new. Take the intricate Damascus steel, for example. This legendary material, known for its strength and distinctive wavy patterns, was the result of knowledge shared between Indian, Middle Eastern, and Central Asian metalworkers. Each culture contributed its own expertise, refining the process until it became a marvel of the ancient world. Even the famed bronze casting techniques of China, which produced stunning ceremonial vessels, were influenced by exchanges with nomadic tribes and neighboring states. Trade didn't just move goods, it moved ideas, pushing civilizations to innovate and adapt. But this exchange wasn't always peaceful. As metalworking techniques spread, so did the demand for the raw materials needed to fuel them. Copper, tin, and iron became prized commodities, sparking competition and conflict. And it was this very competition, driven by the need to outmatch rivals, that would lead to some of the most significant advancements in metalworking. From the forge to the battlefield, the story of metal is as much about conflict as it is about collaboration. As societies grew and conflicts became more complex, the art of metalworking evolved hand in hand with the demands of warfare. It wasn't just about creating tools anymore, it was about survival, dominance, and innovation. The battlefield became a testing ground for new materials and techniques, pushing blacksmiths to craft weapons that were stronger, sharper, and more durable than ever before. This drive for military superiority led to some of the most remarkable advancements in ancient metalworking, innovations that were often centuries ahead of their time. Take the Roman gladius, for example. This iconic short sword wasn't just a weapon, it was a masterpiece of engineering. Its design was tailored for close-quarters combat, with a blade forged from high-quality iron that could hold a razor-sharp edge. The Romans didn't just rely on brute strength, they understood the science behind their steel, carefully selecting ores and refining their forging methods to create a weapon that gave their legions a decisive edge on the battlefield. The gladius wasn't just a tool of war, it was a symbol of the Roman Empire's technological prowess. But the Romans weren't the only ones pushing the boundaries of metalworking. Centuries later, the Vikings crafted the legendary Ulfbert swords, weapons so advanced that they baffle historians even today. These swords were forged from crucible steel, a material so pure and strong that it wouldn't be replicated in Europe for another 1,000 years. The Ulfbert wasn't just a weapon, it was a marvel of metallurgy, capable of bending without breaking and slicing through lesser blades with ease. The fact that these swords were produced in an era often dismissed as the Dark Ages speaks volumes about the ingenuity of their creators. Behind every great weapon was a blacksmith, a master of both craft and strategy. These artisans weren't just hammering metal, they were solving problems, experimenting with alloys, and innovating under pressure. In many ways, they were the unsung heroes of their time, turning raw materials into tools of war that could tip the balance of power. Their work required not only skill but also a deep understanding of the battlefield, as they tailored their creations to meet the specific needs of soldiers and commanders. Yet, as impressive as these advancements were, they weren't always preserved. The secrets of creating weapons like the Ulfbert swords were often closely guarded, passed down through generations of blacksmiths, or lost entirely when empires fell. This raises an intriguing question: how much of this ancient knowledge has survived and how much has been forgotten? As we move forward, we'll explore how these techniques were either preserved or lost to time, and what that means for our understanding of ancient craftsmanship. The disappearance of ancient metalworking techniques is one of history's great mysteries, a story of lost knowledge that feels almost like a puzzle missing its most critical pieces. But how did these incredible skills, honed over centuries, vanish from the world? The answer lies in a combination of historical upheavals and human choices. When empires fell, like the Roman Empire or the Indus Valley civilization, the institutions that supported these crafts often crumbled with them. Skilled metalworkers, once revered and protected, found themselves scattered, their workshops destroyed, and their tools lost to time. Even more devastating were the invasions and conquests that swept across ancient civilizations. Libraries, workshops, and even entire cities were burned or looted, taking with them not just physical artifacts but the knowledge of how to create them. Imagine the destruction of the Library of Alexandria, where countless scrolls and records were lost forever. Similar fates befell smaller, specialized workshops that held the secrets of metalworking, secrets passed down through generations but rarely written down. Adding to this loss was the tradition of secrecy within metalworking guilds. These craftsmen guarded their techniques closely, sharing them only with trusted apprentices. While this ensured mastery and exclusivity, it also meant that if a guild was disrupted or disbanded, their knowledge could vanish overnight. Oral traditions, though rich in detail, were fragile. Without written records, a single generation's silence could erase centuries of innovation. So, could these techniques have survived if not for these historical events? It's a question that lingers in the minds of historians and modern metalworkers alike. Some methods, like Damascus steel or the goldsmithing of the Moche civilization, remain elusive even today. But this loss has sparked a fascinating movement in recent decades. Archaeologists, metallurgists, and artisans are now working together to piece together the fragments of these ancient practices, using everything from historical texts to experimental archaeology. What they're uncovering is not just a glimpse into the past, but a chance to revive techniques that were once thought lost forever. As we explore these modern efforts, it's impossible not to wonder how much of our ancient heritage still lies hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient metalworking is how modern scientists and craftsmen are working tirelessly to unlock its secrets. Today, experimental archaeology and cutting-edge technology are joining forces to recreate techniques that were lost to history for centuries. Take, for example, the legendary Damascus steel, a material so strong and sharp that it was said to cut through a falling silk scarf. For years, its exact composition and forging process remained a mystery, but through meticulous research and collaboration between metallurgists and blacksmiths, we're closer than ever to understanding how this extraordinary material was made. By analyzing ancient blades with modern tools like electron microscopes and X-ray diffraction, researchers have uncovered clues about the unique carbon structures and impurities that gave Damascus steel its remarkable properties. But it's not just about solving historical puzzles. These rediscovered techniques have real-world applications today. For instance, the study of Roman concrete, another ancient marvel, has revealed that its durability and self-healing properties come from a mix of volcanic ash and lime. This discovery has inspired modern engineers to develop more sustainable and resilient building materials. Imagine bridges or skyscrapers that could last for millennia, just like the Pantheon in Rome. The lessons we're learning from the past aren't just academic, they're shaping the future of technology and innovation. What's truly exciting is how these efforts blend tradition and innovation. Blacksmiths today are using age-old methods like pattern welding and forge folding, while incorporating modern tools to refine their craft. It's a beautiful synergy of old and new, proving that ancient techniques still have a place in our modern world. And as we continue to uncover these lost arts, we're not just preserving history, we're unlocking possibilities that could revolutionize industries from construction to manufacturing. This journey of rediscovery reminds us that the past holds untold treasures, waiting to be found and reimagined. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient metalworking is how these seemingly outdated techniques could reshape the way we approach modern technology. Think about it. What if the secrets of the past held the key to solving some of today's biggest challenges in construction, manufacturing, and even aerospace? It's not just a hypothetical question. Researchers and engineers are beginning to see the potential in reviving ancient methods to create materials that are stronger, more durable, and environmentally friendly. For example, take Roman concrete. This ancient material, used to build structures that have stood for thousands of years, is now being studied for its self-healing properties. Imagine skyscrapers or bridges that can repair themselves over time, drastically reducing maintenance costs and environmental impact, but it doesn't stop there. Ancient alloys, like the Damascus steel used in legendary swords, are also catching the attention of modern scientists. These materials were not only incredibly strong, but also lightweight qualities that are highly sought after in industries like aerospace and robotics. Researchers are now experimenting with recreating these alloys to develop components that could make aircraft and spacecraft more efficient and resilient. The idea of combining centuries-old craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology is not just nostalgic, it's practical. And then there's the sustainability angle. Ancient metalworking often relied on local, natural resources and processes that were far less harmful to the environment than many of today's industrial methods. By revisiting these techniques, we might find ways to reduce our reliance on toxic chemicals and energy-intensive production. For instance, some ancient forging methods used minimal heat and recycled materials, principles that align perfectly with today's push for greener manufacturing. Of course, as we look to the past for inspiration, it's worth considering the ethical questions that come with reviving these techniques. Who owns the knowledge of ancient crafts? How do we ensure that the communities who preserved these traditions for generations are recognized and compensated? These are important conversations to have as we move forward. But one thing is clear: the wisdom of ancient metalworkers has the potential to not only revolutionize modern industries, but also create a more sustainable and equitable future. As we marvel at the ingenuity of ancient metalworking techniques, it's worth pausing to consider the ethical implications of bringing these methods back to life. Reviving ancient practices isn't just a technical challenge, it's a moral one as well. For instance, many of these techniques relied heavily on natural resources, some of which are now scarce or environmentally sensitive. Mining for specific ores or using traditional fuels could lead to ecological harm if not managed responsibly. The question becomes, how do we balance the desire to preserve these incredible skills with the need to protect our planet? Another layer of complexity comes from the cultural significance of these techniques. Many ancient metalworking methods are deeply tied to the traditions, beliefs, and identities of the communities that created them. Reviving these practices without proper acknowledgement or respect for their origins risks cultural appropriation, taking something sacred and using it out of context. It's crucial to engage with descendant communities, honor their heritage, and ensure that any revival efforts are collaborative and respectful. After all, these techniques aren't just technical achievements, they're living pieces of history. But there's also a positive side to this conversation. When done thoughtfully, reviving ancient metalworking can foster cultural preservation and appreciation. By studying and sharing these methods, we can help keep traditions alive and ensure that the stories behind the craftsmanship aren't lost to time. The key is to approach this work with humility, transparency, and a commitment to ethical practices. As we reflect on these considerations, it's fascinating to see how these ancient techniques didn't just shape metal. They shaped entire cultures, from the intricate jewelry worn by ancient elites to the ceremonial weapons that symbolized power. Metalworking was deeply intertwined with art, identity, and societal values. And that's where our journey takes us next, exploring how these techniques left their mark on art and culture, influencing everything from religious artifacts to everyday objects. Ancient metalworking wasn't just about crafting tools or weapons, it was a profound expression of culture and identity. Take the Etruscans, for example. Their mastery of goldsmithing produced jewelry so intricate that it still leaves modern artisans in awe. Delicate filigree, granulation, and the use of precious stones weren't just decorative, they were symbols of status, power, and spirituality. These pieces often adorned the elite, but they also played a role in religious ceremonies, connecting the wearer to the divine. The Etruscans didn't just create jewelry, they wove stories of their beliefs and social hierarchy into every piece. Then there's ancient Greece, where metalworking reached new heights of artistry and symbolism. The colossal bronze statues, like the legendary charioteer of Delphi, weren't just feats of engineering, they were reflections of Greek ideals. These statues celebrated human achievement, athleticism, and the pursuit of perfection, embodying the values of a society that revered beauty and intellect. The Greeks didn't just sculpt metal, they immortalized their gods, heroes, and the very essence of their culture in bronze and gold. But it wasn't just about aesthetics. These creations carried deep symbolic meanings. A finely crafted piece of jewelry or a towering statue wasn't just an object, it was a statement. It spoke of wealth, power, and divine favor. It told stories of conquest, devotion, and identity. And in many ways, these ancient works laid the foundation for how we think about art and craftsmanship today. What's particularly fascinating is how these techniques and their cultural significance weren't confined to one gender. While we often think of metalworking as a male-dominated field, women played a significant role in shaping this ancient craft. From designing intricate patterns to managing workshops, their contributions were vital, even if history hasn't always given them the credit they deserve. This brings us to an intriguing question. How did women influence the world of ancient metalworking, and what can their stories teach us about the societies they lived in? When we think of ancient metalworking, the image that often comes to mind is one of burly men hammering away at glowing metal. But history reveals a far more nuanced picture, one where women played a vital, though frequently overlooked, role in shaping this ancient craft. From the delicate artistry of jewelry making to the strategic management of workshops, women were not just participants but innovators in the world of metalworking. Take, for example, the female artisans of ancient Egypt. These skilled craftswomen were renowned for their ability to create intricate gold and silver adornments, some of which have survived thousands of years to tell their stories. Their work wasn't just decorative, it was a testament to their technical skill and creative vision, often serving as symbols of power and status in their society. But women didn't just work behind the scenes. Some took on leadership roles, managing workshops and overseeing production. In cultures like ancient Mesopotamia and Greece, evidence suggests that women were involved in every stage of metalworking, from refining raw materials to supervising the creation of tools, weapons, and ceremonial objects. Their contributions challenged the gender norms of their time, proving that craftsmanship and innovation were not confined to one gender. This legacy of ingenuity and resilience is one that modern archaeologists and historians are only now beginning to fully appreciate. As we shift our focus from the artisans themselves to the tools they used, it's worth noting that the success of these ancient metalworkers, both men and women, relied heavily on the advancements in technology and technique that emerged over centuries. From the development of specialized hammers and chisels to the invention of furnaces capable of reaching extreme temperatures, these innovations laid the groundwork for the masterpieces that still captivate us today. And it's here, in the tools and techniques, that we find the next chapter of this fascinating story. The tools and innovations of ancient metalworkers were nothing short of revolutionary for their time. Picture a craftsman standing over an anvil, hammer in hand, shaping metal with a skill passed down through generations. But it wasn't just brute force that made their work extraordinary, it was the ingenuity behind their tools. Early metalworkers relied on basic instruments like stone hammers and copper anvils, but as their craft advanced, so did their equipment. By the Bronze Age, they had developed specialized tools such as tongs for handling hot metal and chisels for intricate detailing. These tools weren't just functional, they were extensions of the artisan's creativity, allowing them to achieve levels of precision that still astonish us today. One of the most transformative innovations was the development of furnaces capable of reaching higher temperatures. Early furnaces were little more than pits in the ground, but over time, they evolved into sophisticated structures fueled by charcoal or bellows. These advancements allowed metalworkers to smelt ores more efficiently and produce stronger, more durable alloys. Molds, too, played a crucial role. By pouring molten metal into clay or stone molds, artisans could create identical pieces with remarkable consistency, a technique that revolutionized everything from weaponry to jewelry. But what truly set ancient metalworkers apart was their ability to adapt and innovate. they didn't just rely on what they inherited, they constantly refined their methods. For example, the introduction of lost wax casting in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia allowed for the creation of highly detailed sculptures and intricate designs that would have been impossible with earlier techniques. This method involved creating a wax model, encasing it in clay, and then melting the wax away to leave a hollow mold. The result, stunning pieces of art that showcased both technical skill and artistic vision. The impact of these tools and innovations went far beyond the workshop. They shaped entire civilizations, enabling the production of stronger weapons, more efficient farming tools, and even elaborate decorative items that symbolized power and status. But as metalworking flourished, it also brought challenges, particularly for the environment. The demand for raw materials like copper, tin, and iron led to extensive mining, while the use of charcoal for furnaces contributed to deforestation. These practices, though groundbreaking for their time, left a lasting mark on the landscapes where ancient metalworkers once thrived. And as we explore this environmental legacy, it's impossible not to wonder, how did these ancient artisans balance progress with sustainability? But while these ancient metalworking techniques were undeniably groundbreaking, they came with a cost, one that's all too familiar in our modern world: environmental impact. Picture vast stretches of forest being cleared to fuel the furnaces needed for smelting. Entire landscapes were transformed as ancient societies sought the resources to sustain their craft. The demand for charcoal, a key ingredient in metal production, led to widespread deforestation, altering ecosystems and leaving behind barren lands. And it wasn't just the trees' smelting processes released toxic fumes, polluting the air and water sources nearby. These weren't just isolated incidents, they were the byproducts of a growing industry that shaped civilizations. Yet, ancient societies didn't turn a blind eye to these challenges. In some cases, they developed innovative solutions to mitigate their environmental footprint. For example, the Romans implemented systems to recycle metals, reducing the need for constant mining. Other cultures, like the ancient Chinese, used water-powered bellows in their furnaces, cutting down on the amount of fuel required. These early efforts to balance progress with sustainability offer valuable lessons for today's industries. In a world grappling with climate change, the ingenuity of ancient metalworkers reminds us that resourcefulness and responsibility can and must go hand in hand. But the story of ancient metalworking isn't just about tools, techniques, or environmental impact. It's also deeply intertwined with the myths and legends of the time. Metalworkers were often seen as more than just craftsmen. They were viewed as individuals with a mystical connection to the earth and its hidden treasures. This blend of science and spirituality gave rise to fascinating stories that have endured for centuries. And it's these stories that we'll explore next as we uncover how mythology shaped the perception of metalworking in the ancient world. Mythology has always been a powerful lens through which ancient cultures understood the world around them, and metalworking was no exception. Across civilizations, gods and divine figures were often credited with the mastery of this transformative craft, elevating it to something almost magical. In Greek mythology, Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge, was revered not just as a skilled artisan but as a symbol of creation itself. His ability to shape raw metal into weapons, armor, and intricate tools was seen as a divine gift, blending the practical with the mystical. This association didn't just honor the craft, it also elevated the status of metalworkers, who were seen as inheritors of a sacred tradition. Moving eastward, we find Vishwakarma, the Hindu god of craftsmanship and architecture. Unlike Hephaestus, who worked in isolation on Mount Olympus, Vishwakarma was a cosmic architect responsible for crafting the universe itself. His connection to metalworking was deeply symbolic, representing the union of creativity and precision. In rituals and festivals, artisans would invoke his name, seeking blessings for their work. This spiritual dimension transformed metalworking from a mere trade into a form of devotion, where every hammer strike and every molten pour carried a deeper meaning. But these myths weren't just stories, they shaped how societies viewed metalworkers. In many cultures, these artisans were seen as intermediaries between the earthly and the divine, their work a testament to humanity's ability to harness the elements. This reverence wasn't limited to one region or tradition. From the Norse myths of dwarves forging magical weapons to the African folktales of blacksmiths with supernatural powers, metalworking was universally celebrated as a craft that bridged the gap between the mundane and the extraordinary. What's fascinating is how these mythological narratives reflect the global diversity of metalworking traditions. Each culture brought its own unique perspective, blending local beliefs with practical knowledge. In some places, metalworkers were seen as healers, their skills believed to ward off evil spirits. In others, they were regarded as innovators, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with fire and metal. This rich tapestry of traditions reminds us that metalworking wasn't just a technical skill. It was a cultural cornerstone woven into the very fabric of human history. As we explore these diverse traditions, it's clear that the art of metalworking was never just about the tools or the techniques. It was about the stories, the beliefs, and the people who carried this knowledge forward generation after generation. And as we move into the next part of our journey, we'll see how these traditions evolved across continents, creating a legacy that continues to inspire us today. But metalworking wasn't just a single thread running through history. It was a tapestry woven with countless unique traditions, each shaped by the land, resources, and culture of its people. Take, for example, the ancient Korean artisans who crafted exquisite bronze bells. These weren't just instruments, they were masterpieces of precision and artistry, produced using techniques so advanced that their resonant tones still echo through time. The Koreans' ability to create such flawless bronze pieces was a testament to their deep understanding of metallurgy and their innovative spirit. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, the Byzantine Empire was perfecting an entirely different craft, gold filigree. This delicate art form involved twisting and weaving thin threads of gold into intricate patterns, often used to adorn jewelry, religious artifacts, and even royal garments. The Byzantines didn't just work with gold, they transformed it into a medium of storytelling, embedding their cultural and spiritual beliefs into every shimmering detail. What's fascinating is how these two traditions, Korean bronze and Byzantine gold, emerged from vastly different environments. Korea's mountainous terrain provided rich deposits of copper and tin, essential for bronze, while the Byzantine Empire sat at the crossroads of trade routes, giving it access to abundant gold and other precious materials. Geography and resources didn't just influence the materials these cultures used, they shaped the very essence of their metalworking styles. The Koreans, with their focus on bronze, developed techniques that emphasized strength and sonority, perfect for creating ceremonial bells that could be heard for miles. The Byzantines, on the other hand, prioritized beauty and intricacy, turning gold into a symbol of divine power and human ingenuity. These distinct approaches reveal how metalworking wasn't just a practical skill. It was a reflection of a culture's values, environment, and aspirations. And yet, despite their differences, these traditions share something profound, a spirit of experimentation. Whether it was the meticulous blending of alloys to achieve the perfect bronze or the painstaking process of shaping gold into filigree, ancient artisans were constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. They didn't just follow established methods, they innovated, adapted, and refined their techniques, driven by a desire to create something extraordinary. This spirit of experimentation would become the cornerstone of metalworking's evolution, paving the way for even greater achievements in the centuries to come. Ancient metalworkers were more than just artisans, they were pioneers of innovation, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible with their materials and tools. Imagine a world where every discovery was uncharted territory, where trial and error led to breakthroughs that shaped civilizations. This spirit of experimentation is what set ancient metalworkers apart, and their relentless curiosity gave us some of the most remarkable achievements in history. Take, for example, the ancient Indian metallurgists who developed wood steel, a material so advanced that it became legendary across the ancient world. By carefully controlling the carbon content in iron and using intricate forging techniques, they created a steel that was not only incredibly strong but also capable of holding a razor-sharp edge. This innovation didn't just revolutionize weaponry, it became the foundation for the famous Damascus blades, which were prized for centuries. The process was so sophisticated that modern scientists are still studying it to understand how such precision was achieved with the tools available at the time. Then there's the use of mercury in gold refining, a technique employed by ancient civilizations like the Romans and the Chinese. By mixing gold ore with mercury, they could separate the precious metal from impurities, a process known as amalgamation. This method was groundbreaking because it allowed them to extract gold from ores that were previously considered too difficult to process. While mercury is highly toxic and dangerous, the ingenuity behind this technique speaks volumes about the lengths ancient metalworkers were willing to go to perfect their craft. What's truly fascinating is the mindset behind these innovations. Ancient metalworkers weren't just following established traditions, they were actively experimenting, testing new ideas, and learning from their failures. They didn't have the luxury of modern laboratories or advanced technology, yet they managed to achieve results that still impress us today. Their work reminds us that innovation isn't just about having the right tools, it's about curiosity, creativity, and the willingness to take risks. And this legacy of experimentation didn't just fade away with the ancient world. The techniques and principles they developed continue to influence modern craftsmanship. From the way we forge metals today to the methods we use to refine precious materials, the fingerprints of ancient metalworkers are everywhere. Their innovations laid the groundwork for countless industries, proving that their work wasn't just ahead of its time, it was timeless. As we marvel at their achievements, it's worth asking ourselves, what can we learn from their approach to problem solving and their unyielding drive to improve? The answers might just inspire the next generation of innovators. Ancient metalworking techniques, once thought lost to time, have found a surprising resurgence in the modern world. Today, artisans and craftsmen are looking to the past for inspiration, reviving methods that date back thousands of years. Blacksmiths, for instance, are rediscovering the art of forging Damascus steel, a process once used to create legendary swords with unparalleled strength and beauty. By studying ancient texts and experimenting with traditional materials, they're bringing this lost art back to life, blending old-world craftsmanship with modern innovation. Jewelers, too, are turning to the past for inspiration. Techniques like granulation, where tiny metal beads are fused onto a surface to create intricate patterns, were perfected by ancient civilizations like the Etruscans. Today, this delicate art form is being revived, with contemporary designers using it to create stunning, one-of-a-kind pieces that pay homage to the mastery of their predecessors. Even in architecture and sculpture, ancient methods of casting and engraving are being reimagined, proving that the ingenuity of the past still holds immense value in the present. But why are these ancient techniques making such a strong comeback? Part of it lies in their undeniable quality. The precision and skill required to create these pieces often result in work that stands the test of time, both in durability and aesthetic appeal. There's also a growing appreciation for the stories behind these methods, the human hands that once wielded hammers and chisels, the cultures that developed these processes, and the sheer artistry that went into every piece. Of course, reviving these techniques isn't without its challenges. Modern craftsmen must often work with limited historical records, piecing together fragmented knowledge to recreate methods that were once passed down through generations. Yet, this process of rediscovery is part of what makes it so rewarding. It's a way of honoring the past while pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the present. As we marvel at the revival of these ancient techniques, it's impossible not to wonder about the artifacts they've left behind. These pieces, some thousands of years old, are fragile remnants of a bygone era. But preserving them is no small task. From environmental factors to the complexities of restoration, the challenges of keeping these treasures intact are immense. And that raises an important question. How do we ensure that the legacy of ancient metalworking endures for generations to come? Preserving ancient metal artifacts is no small feat. These relics, crafted with skill and ingenuity centuries ago, face a host of modern challenges. One of the most pervasive threats is corrosion. Over time, exposure to moisture, air, and even the oils from human hands can cause metals to deteriorate. Imagine a delicate bronze statue, its surface once gleaming, now pocked with green patina. While patina can sometimes protect the metal beneath, it's a fine line between preservation and decay. Archaeologists and conservators must carefully assess each artifact to determine the best course of action, whether to clean it, stabilize it, or leave it as is to avoid further damage. But corrosion isn't the only enemy. Looting and illegal trade pose significant risks to these cultural treasures. Ancient metal artifacts, often small and portable, are prime targets for thieves looking to profit from the black market. Once an artifact is removed from its original context, it loses much of its historical value. The story it could tell about the people who made it, the society they lived in, or the techniques they used is often lost forever. This is why preserving these objects in their original settings, or at least in controlled museum environments, is so crucial. So, how do experts protect these treasures? One common method is through controlled environments. Museums often store metal artifacts in climate-controlled cases, where temperature and humidity are carefully regulated to slow down corrosion. Another technique involves using specialized coatings or inhibitors that shield the metal from harmful elements. For example, a thin layer of wax or resin can create a barrier against moisture without altering the artifact's appearance. In more delicate cases, conservators might even use micro-tools to remove corrosion without damaging the underlying metal. Education also plays a vital role in safeguarding these artifacts. By teaching the public about the importance of preserving cultural heritage, we can foster a sense of responsibility and respect for these ancient creations. Museums, schools, and even online platforms can help spread awareness, ensuring that future generations understand the value of these artifacts not just as metal objects, but as windows into our shared human past. This connection between preservation and education sets the stage for another critical aspect of this story: how we can keep these ancient metalworking traditions alive for the future. As we marvel at the intricate artistry and ingenuity of ancient metalworking, one question becomes impossible to ignore: how do we ensure these extraordinary skills don't fade into obscurity? The answer lies in passing this knowledge to the next generation, a task that's as vital as it is challenging. Imagine a world where the secrets of Damascus steel or the precision of Roman metallurgy are lost forever. To prevent this, we must rethink how we teach and preserve these ancient techniques, blending tradition with innovation to keep them alive in the modern era. Apprenticeships have long been the cornerstone of mastering metalworking. For centuries, skilled artisans passed down their craft through hands-on training, where every hammer strike and forge fire was a lesson in patience and precision. This intimate, mentor-led approach still holds immense value today, but in our fast-paced world, apprenticeships alone aren't enough. Enter academic programs where history, science, and craftsmanship converge. Universities and specialized schools are now offering courses that delve into the metallurgical secrets of the past, equipping students with both the technical skills and the historical context needed to carry these traditions forward. But preserving these techniques isn't just about teaching the how, it's about inspiring the why. Young metalworkers need to understand the cultural and historical significance of their craft. When they grasp the role these techniques played in shaping civilizations, from the swords that defended empires to the tools that built cities, they're more likely to see themselves as custodians of a priceless legacy. And this isn't just about replicating the past, it's about adapting these methods to solve modern challenges. For instance, the ancient Japanese art of sword making, with its layered steel and precise tempering, has inspired advancements in materials science, influencing everything from aerospace engineering to medical devices. The beauty of this revival lies in its potential to bridge the old and the new. By teaching ancient metalworking techniques, we're not just preserving history, we're creating a foundation for future innovation. And as we reflect on the broader implications of these lost arts, it's clear that their value extends far beyond the workshop. These techniques remind us of humanity's capacity for creativity, resilience, and ingenuity, qualities we'll need as we navigate the challenges of the future. The disappearance of ancient metalworking techniques isn't just a loss of craftsmanship, it's a missing chapter in the story of human innovation. Think about it, these methods, some of which were so advanced they still baffle modern engineers, represent a level of ingenuity that challenges our assumptions about ancient civilizations. Without them, we're left with an incomplete picture of what our ancestors were truly capable of. But what if we could rediscover these lost skills? What would that mean for our understanding of history? For one, it could completely reshape how we view the technological achievements of the past. Take, for example, the Damascus steel blades or the intricate goldwork of the Mach civilization. These weren't just beautiful objects, they were testaments to a deep understanding of materials and processes that, in some cases, rival what we can do today. If we could unlock these secrets, we might discover that ancient societies were far more sophisticated than we've given them credit for. But beyond just rewriting history books, the rediscovery of these techniques could have practical implications too. Imagine applying ancient methods to modern challenges, whether in manufacturing, architecture, or even space exploration. The blend of old and new knowledge could lead to breakthroughs we haven't even considered yet. It's a reminder that innovation isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about looking back and learning from what came before. As we reflect on these lost techniques, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe at the creativity and resourcefulness of our ancestors. They didn't have the tools or technology we have today, yet they achieved feats that still inspire us. Their work challenges us to think differently about what's possible and to appreciate the incredible legacy they've left behind. And who knows, the next great discovery in metalworking might just come from revisiting the wisdom of the past. As we wrap up this exploration into the lost art of ancient metalworking, it's incredible to reflect on how these techniques, some of which were developed thousands of years ago, still hold secrets that baffle modern science. From the legendary Damascus steel, with its mesmerizing patterns and unmatched strength, to the intricate processes behind the creation of ancient alloys like Corinthian bronze, these methods were far ahead of their time. What's even more fascinating is how researchers today are drawing inspiration from these ancient innovations, exploring ways to apply them in cutting-edge fields like nanotechnology, advanced manufacturing, and even space exploration. The legacy of these ancient craftsmen is not just a relic of the past, it's a living, breathing influence on the future of technology. Their ingenuity reminds us that sometimes the answers to modern challenges can be found by looking back at the wisdom of those who came before us. These techniques weren't just about creating tools or weapons. They were expressions of human creativity, precision, and an unyielding drive to push the boundaries of what's possible. If this journey through the mysteries of ancient metalworking has sparked your curiosity, let that curiosity lead you further. Dive deeper into the stories, the science, and the history behind these incredible techniques. And don't forget, this is just the beginning. There are countless other historical mysteries and ancient innovations waiting to be uncovered, and I'd love for you to join me as we explore them together. So, what do you think? Could these ancient methods hold the key to solving some of today's technological challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and let's uncover the secrets of the past, one mystery at a time.